Namo Sakya Muni Buddha. Dear Venerable Singer, Buddhist ladies and gentlemen, you are invited to join us in this weekly Buddhist newsreel on psotv channel. Hereafter, 5 major headlines of Buddhist activities of the week. Conference of two offices online for the first time. Vietnam Buddhist singer commemorates 48th death date of late Patriarch Most Venerable THÍCH. KHIòng Provincial Administrative Board draws effort in rescue of local famous vegetables. Ho Chi Minh City, MINH PAGODA gives gifts to young people from Ward 9 District 3 doing their 2021 military obligation. MINH PAGODA affection to children with disabilities during Lunar New Year. The following are the news in details. In order to reduce the risk of initiating the COVID-19 epidemic, as well as to resolve the urgent Buddhist tasks, on the afternoon of March 3rd, 2021, the permanent session of the Vietnam Buddhist Sangha Administrative Council held an online conference between the two offices. Office 1 at Quang Sư Pagoda, Hanoi City, and Office 2 at Quang Đức Zen Monastery, Ho Chi Minh City.
The meeting was chaired by the Chairman of the Administrative Council, Most Venerable THÍCH, Vice Chairman of the Administrative Council, Most Venerable THÍCH, and Most Venerable THÍCH. Attending were Reverend Vice Chairman of the Administrative Council, the Secretariat, and standing members of the Administrative Council. At Office 2, Most Venerable, the Chairman gave an opening speech and said that the COVID-19 pandemic in our country was basically under control. However, in order to avoid the outbreak, many agencies and organizations in the world and Vietnam have turned to a new mode of working, the online meetings, to solve important tasks. Therefore, this is the first time Vietnam Buddhist Sangha held an online conference. Most Venerable said that this was an extraordinary meeting of the permanent section of the Administrative Council at the beginning of the new year to discuss and reach consensus in some of the Buddha's impending urgent missions. The focus of this session was the dissemination of the official letter number 2054 on the allocation of candidates for the coming 15th National Assembly. At Office 1, Most Venerable THÍCH, Vice Chairman and Secretary General of the Administrative Council, ratified the official letter, and accordingly, the Vietnam Buddhist Sangha is entitled to nominate one candidate in the election for the 15 National Assembly deputies. To continue the conference at Office 2, Most Venerable THÍCH ratified the standards for the candidates to the National Assembly in accordance with the current law of the Vietnam government. On behalf of the conference presidencies and the attendees, Most Venerable THÍCH nominated Venerable THÍCH to run for the candidate for the 15th National Assembly. The opinions of the Venerable monks of the permanent section at the conference were belief in prestige, quality, education, and capacity of Venerable THÍCH for working in the National Assembly, who will help Buddhism improve the role of protecting the national security and developing the country. After the chairman conducted the voting, all the monks of the permanent section of the Administrative Council unanimously passed the decision to nominate Venerable THÍCH to take part in his candidacy for National Assembly deputies of the 15th term. At the conference, the Secretariat also reported on Buddhist work in the first 2 months of 2021 in an official letter responding to planting 1 billion trees across the country and campaigning at monasteries, supported by monks and nuns to donate blood to save people. It was well performed by Buddhists in many provinces. The first online conference of the Central Vietnam Buddhist Sanghas was well conducted with great success.
On the afternoon of March 4, 2021, at Vạn Hạnh Zen Monastery, Ho Chi Minh City, the religious dignitaries of the standing session of Administrative Council, the Central Board of Vietnam Buddhist Sangha, offered incense to commemorate the 48th death date of the Elder Most Venerable THÍCH, the first great Supreme Patriarch of the Unified Vietnam Buddhist Sangha.
Attending the incense offering commemorative ritual, there were Most Venerable THÍCH, Chairman of the Vietnam Buddhist Sangha Administrative Council, Most Venerable Thích Giác Toàn, Vice Chairman of the Administrative Council, Head of Southern Institute for Buddhist Studies, Venerable Thích Thiện Thống, Vice Chairman of the Vietnam Buddhist Sangha Administrative Council, Most Venerable Thích Huệ Minh, Standing Member of the Administrative Council, Head of the Central Ceremonies Section, Most Venerable Thích Thanh Hùng, Standing Member of the Administrative Council, Head of the Buddhist Guide Section, Most Venerable Thích Huệ Trí, Standing Member of the Administrative Council, Chief Legal Officer, Most Venerable Thích Thiện Đức, Standing Member of the Administrative Council, Deputy Chief Secretary of the Central Committee of Superintendent, together with Reverend Venerables and monks and non-dignitaries and staff of the Research Institute, the Vietnam Buddhist Institute in Ho Chi Minh City. The religious dignitaries offered incense and commemorated the 48th death date of the late Elder Patriarch Most Venerable of Unified Vietnam Buddhist Sangha, recited the Noble Eightfold Path to pray for His Holiness to be high-ranking, recognized, and consecrated ordained. The Elder Patriarch Most Venerable Thích Tịnh Khiết, alias Nguyễn Văn Kính, was born in 1890 in Thừa Thiên Huế Province and passed away in 1973 with 83-year life expectancy, then 64-year Dharma religious service. He belonged to the 42nd generation of the Linh Te Zen sect of the Liu Quang line. In 1905, he was preordained at Tượng Vân Pagoda, Huế City, and certified for Pali Mokkha, Basic Code of Monastic Discipline in 1910. In 1964, he was honored by the Congress of the Buddhist Sangha to the throne of the Prelate of the Unified Vietnam Buddhist Sangha. More than 60 years of devotion to bestow the sentient beings, he would always rely on the ability and level of each person to admonish and teach the layman. Among his monastic disciples, there were many monks who have made great careers for Buddhism, namely Most Venerable Thích Minh Châu, Most Venerable Thích Trân Thiện. The great Supreme Patriarch was invited by the religious dignitaries to stay in the great pagodas in Saigon, such as Xá Lợi, Ấn Quang, Quảng Hương pagodas, to administer all the great critical affairs and rituals of the Vietnam Buddhist Sangha.
Last time, CHIòng province was blocked under quarantine due to the COVID-19 outbreak, which had triggered great damage to farmers when the ripens for harvest agricultural products and goods were contracted and threatened to be decomposed. In order to assist the farmers in CHIòng province to overcome the risk of having to dispose of agricultural products due to not being sold, on February 25, 2021, CHIòng Province Buddhist Administrative Committee bought the products to assist the farmers in the effort of overcoming the difficulty.
The rescue program for tens of tons of agricultural products has been performed by the pagodas, according to purchasing locations. Venerable Thích Thanh Dũng, member of the Central Administrative Council, Vice Manager of the Provincial Administrative Board of Hải Dương Province, the host of Linh Thông Pagoda, purchased more than 10 tons of cabbage and kohlrabi. Master Monk Thích Quảng Tịnh, the abbot of Phúc Long Pagoda, purchased 30 tons of vegetable and kohlrabi. Thích Tục Huy, the abbot of Trúc Khê Pagoda, purchased 25 tons of vegetable and fruits of various kinds. Nun Thích Tâm Niệm, abbot of Phạm Kha Pagoda, purchased 20 tons of vegetable, tubers, and fruits. By the end of the day, the administrative board collated the purchase volume of nearly 90 tons of vegetable, tubers, and fruits.
On the morning of March 3, 2021, at the People's Committee of Ward 9, District 3, Ho Chi Minh City, monks and Buddhists at Mindao Pagoda presented gifts to young people who performed their military obligation in 2021.
At the ceremony, the representative of Mindao Pagoda, Venerable Thích Phước Nghiêm and Venerable Thích Minh Ân, presented gifts to the enlisted young men to encourage the young people who had been recruited to serve the military service so that they could unite, strive to rise in learning and training to accomplish the assigned missions, following the glorious traditions of the ancestors, his father's generations, in the cause of building and defending the homeland and the country. Mr. Young Min-hai, chairman of Ward 9 People's Committee, said that 19 young people had been qualified for the military service. This is an honor for the local government and the people of Ward 9. The performance of military obligation is not only advantageous for young people during their military service, but also favorable for them to pave well the future career road after their military service completion. Due to the influence of the COVID-19 pandemic, the district and the city did not organize the festivity of cheering the newly recruited army men or cultural activities. All enlisted citizens had gone through medical registration and COVID-19 tests 2 days before the military admission.
Buddhist compulsion song was sold in all circumstances, every moment of life. On the afternoon of February 25, 2021, monks and Buddhists at MINH Pagoda, Ho Chi Minh City, paid a visit and gave 150 gifts to children living at the THÍCH Orphanage Sponsoring Center.
The representatives of the director board of the center were very happy and grateful for the compassionate hearts of monks and Buddhists from MINH Pagoda, who had presented gifts and cake to the children. During the visit, Venerable THÍCH, the abbot of MINH Pagoda, said that, in the spirit of love, compassion, sympathy, and tolerance of Buddhism, under the teaching of Rector Most Venerable THÍCH, chairman of the Administrative Council, Vietnam Buddhist SANGHA, who has compassion for ill-fated children. During a year, MINH Pagoda's ashram regularly organized visits at many centers of disabled and ill-fated children in the city. These activities are aimed at helping children with an unlucky life to have the opportunity to live, play, and integrate with their peers. THÍCH Orphanage Sponsoring Center is under the Department of Labor, War Invalids, and Social Affairs of Ho Chi Minh City. It is home to more than 300 orphans with disabilities of cerebral palsy, polio, disabled and mental disorders, aged from 4 to 16. The center operates with a part of funding from the city's Social Security Fund, but currently all operating equipment is somewhat degraded. Thus, the daily life of the children still needs more support from social charity, domestic and foreign philanthropists.
Venerable monks and nuns, Buddhist ladies and gentlemen, the last news has signed off this quickly newsreel. Thank you for your attention and following. Goodbye and see you in the next program on psotv channel. Nam Mô Sakyamuni Buddha.